Hello, my lovely audience. Welcome to Time with your beloved midwife, Kenneth. It is a beautiful day to continue our discussion on the female reproductive system. During our previous episode, we discussed the uterus, and so today we will be delving into another internal organ. Gradually, we are getting to the end of this interesting discussion, that is the internal organs of the female reproductive system. To be part of this beautiful family where we learn together, have fun, vibe and promote our health, you already know what to do. Kindly subscribe to the channel, like and share the videos, leave your comment, tap on the notification bell and click on the video cards as well. I thank you all so much and I love you. Mwah. So the topic for discussion, the fallopian tubes. I call them the macho organs in the female reproductive system. Just look at their structure. They look like the arm of a male, right? Yes, simply that's how they look like. And the fallopian tube, they are also called uterine tubes or oviduct or salpinges. And they are two very fine tubes leading from the ovaries into the uterus. Knowing this, let's discover the shape of the fallopian tubes. As the name implies, fallopian tubes, they are tubular. The lumen of each tube communicates with the cavity of the uterus at its proximal end and the peritoneal cavity at its distal end. The size of the fallopian tubes. The length of each size is approximately 10 cm, but the diameter varies in each part of the tube. We shall discover that when we delve into the gross structure of the fallopian tubes. So let's move straight into the gross structure of the fallopian tubes. The lumen of the tube provides an open pathway from the outside to the peritoneal cavity. One will ask, why peritoneal cavity? Peritoneal cavity because peritoneal cavity, also known as the abdominal cavity, contains largely the visceral organs including the liver, stomach, small and large intestines and other associated smaller organs. And in women, the uterus, the fallopian tubes and the ovaries protrude into the peritoneal cavity. That is how come the lumen of the tube provides an open pathway from the outside to the peritoneal cavity. And the uterine tube has 4 portions. The first portion is the interstitial portion, and it is 1.2 cm long and it lies within the wall of the uterus. Its lumen is 1 millimeter wide. The second portion is the isthmus. Yes, isthmus. I know that it rings the bell. We made mention of the isthmus when we were discussing the uterus. Yes, and now we've made mention of isthmus whilst discussing the fallopian tubes. Of course, they aren't the same thing. The uterus has its own isthmus and the fallopian tubes have theirs too. So now let's discover what isthmus is in the fallopian tubes. The isthmus is the narrowest part that extends for about 2.5 cm from the uterus. That is the narrowest portion of the fallopian tubes, and it has something special to offer. It is the part that acts as a reservoir for spermatozoa because the temperature is lower there than in the rest of the tube. It is the only site that can house the spermatozoa for a long time. Having known this, let's discover the widest portion of the fallopian tubes, and that is the ampulla. The ampulla is the widest portion and it is where fertilization usually occurs, and it is 5 cm long. Wow. So now you know the narrowest portion and the widest portion. The last portion is the infundibulum or the fimbriated end. The infundibulum is the funnel-shaped fringed end that is composed of many processes known as a fimbriae. One fimbra lies in closer proximity to the ovary than the others, and that is known as the ovarian fimbra. This is all about the microscopic structure of the fallopian tubes. Let's discover the layers as well that makes up the microscopic structure of the fallopian tubes. The lining of the uterine tubes is the mucous membrane of ciliated cuboidal epithelium that is thrown into complicated folds known as plica. They are never smooth, they are very rough, and these folds slow down the ovum down on its way to the uterus. And the lining also are made up of goblet cells that produce a secretion containing glycogen to nourish the oocytes. Even the inner lining of our human body has these goblet cells nourishing some of the parts of the human body. How much more we the human beings, the body itself, what do we take in? That is the reason why we have to take in nutritious diet in order for us to stay healthy and be able to fight against infection. Eat nutritious meals so that you do not fall prey to infections. Beneath the lining is a layer of vascular connective tissue. There is also the muscle coat, which consists of two layers, an inner circular layer and an outer longitudinal layer. Both of these are of smooth muscle. You should bear in mind that the peristaltic movement of the uterine tube is due to the action of these muscles, and the tube is covered with peritoneum, but the infundibulum in particular passes through it to open into the peritoneal cavity. This is interesting. Now to the function of the fallopian tubes. The uterine tube propels the ovum towards the uterus, and it also receives the spermatozoa as they travel upwards. And here we are talking about the isthmus. And the fallopian tubes also provides the site for fertilization, and here we are talking about the ampulla. Also, it supplies the fertilized ovum with nutrition during its continued journey to the uterus. And here we are talking about the microscopic structure of the fallopian tube, specifically the lining, which is made up of ciliated cuboidal epithelium thrown into folds known as the plica. This is where time will permit us to end today's interesting lesson. I hope you've learned a lot. That's the most important thing. Until then, we shall bid goodbye from here. Learn harder, take care of yourselves, promote your health, and wait for me as I drop another video next week. I love you all. Mwah. Bye bye.